Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World, how you guys doing? So for the last, year and a half, we've all known that Donald Trump is the worst president, of modern times. Quite possibly the worst president ever, you know. And it seems like the Republicans are just now beginning to figure that out, right? Which all I can really say is, what fucking took you people so long? So if you're not aware, there was a summit in that Donald Trump had with Russia, and basically he did everything but get on his knees and fillet Putin there, right? The part that everybody has a problem with is that there was a question from a guy in the audience who asked him about Russian interference, right, which has essentially been proven by now, Russian interference in the 2016 election, right? And Donald Trump essentially just kicked our own intelligence agencies to the curb and held Putin blameless, right? Didn't even acknowledge that there was something to it, because here's the thing, right? You could think that, so a lot of people now are saying stuff like, okay, well, he was sitting right there next to Putin, right? And that question was kind of an awkward question. And, it is. You're right next to the guy. You don't want to talk shit about him, right? But at the same time, he could have all he had to do was acknowledge that there were serious issues and move on, He could have said something benign enough, right, that, oh, well, these are serious issues that we're investigating, but I hope that our two countries can come together and blah, 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 blah. Could have said some kind of bullshit like that, and it would have been fine. But instead, he took the opportunity to, hype himself, to blame Democrats for losing, and, they should have stopped it. They should have won the election, blah, blah, blah. We had an overwhelming victory and all this other ridiculous horseshit. And to throw the CIA and the FBI and our other intelligence agencies that are supplying the president with this information under the bus, And you got to remember now, at this point, the leaders of these organizations are people that he selected himself, okay? They're Republicans that he chose, right? The prior Democratic appointees have been gone. They're long gone. And this is information coming from these, intelligence agencies that are headed by his people, and he's throwing them under the bus. And it's like, so now that finally got the Republicans out there on Fox and elsewhere, Breitbart and shit like that, that finally got them to start turning against Trump. McCain called him a traitor. Okay. And actually, John McCain gave a very, very eloquent response to this, which I recommend everybody just check it out, read it, because McCain's response sounds like something that a president fucking should say, And, even Fox and Friends came out against this in a half-assed, kind of lighthearted, you shouldn't say that sort of way, because, they know that fucking Trump watches Fox and Friends. They don't want to alienate him, but at the same time, it's like, this is kind of a step too far, right? And it's reverberating through the media and finally seems to be having a little bit of an effect on his base. But I can kind of tell you right now, his base is it's not going to affect them that much, because they really don't give a shit. You got to remember, his base, these are the people that they didn't care about the grab him by the pussy thing. They didn't care about his, the Trump Tower meeting where they attempted to collude, right, with Russian agents. They don't give a shit about any of the ridiculous fucking things that Trump's done over the last year, getting fucking agonizing North Korea and then having a summit with them and agreeing to nothing and looking like a fool. They don't care about any of that stuff. They don't give a fuck. These are the people that basically Trump could shoot a baby on, in the middle of downtown Manhattan and on live TV and they wouldn't care. They'd say the baby was a terrorist or something. They wouldn't give a shit. That's his base. It's not going to go below, I think, 39%, because that's where his base is, right? Which, if you think about it, is pretty pathetic. And if it stays like that, it's not enough to win him re-election. So you got to think about that too. But, why? Why is this happening? Why is Trump basically throwing his entire fucking country that he's the president of, under the bus? Why is he kicking everybody to the curb who even slightly implies that there was some kind of shenanigans going on with Russia? I think the answer is pretty obvious. It's because he's a thin-skinned, spoiled child. See, if you think, if you accept for a minute that there was some interference from the Russians in the election, right? Even if you don't take it as far to say that they flipped votes or anything like that, but even just them interfering at all, hacking the DNC server, taking that information and putting it on WikiLeaks, right? Even just that, only that, implies that Trump didn't win on his own merits. See, he already lost the popular vote by 3 million votes, all right? We knew that coming in. So there are 3 million more people in the country who didn't vote for his ass, right, than the people who did. So he's already underwater as far as popular support goes. He came into being the president with like a 42% approval rating, which is fucking ridiculously low. I mean, even Obama had more than that, for the first 9 months of his presidency, right? Shit. Most presidents come in with like an 80% fucking approval rating. I mean, they just won the election. People like them, Not Trump, right? He was already underwater. So now the implication, right, if we accept the narrative that the Russians interfered in the election, it says to him and his thin-skinned little ego that, that he fucking didn't actually win, that he only got it because other people gave it to him, right? And it's kind of, telling, because basically Trump is a guy who's gotten everything he's ever wanted his whole life, anytime he wanted it. I mean, think about it. And I think that, personally, like, I'm from my fucking pop psychologist chair, I think that's what's pissing him off so much. The implication that he didn't earn it, right? Because he really thinks in his mind that he hasn't actually earned anything. But, I have no proof of that. But I can just that's just what it looks like to me, right? But, regardless, that's my, I think that really has a lot to do with it. The fact that it's like you're not a legit president, right? Because you fucking cheated. And here's the thing, if he really did, if there actually was some collusion there, that's a serious, major fucking problem. See, we know, right? They know, the CIA knows, right? The FBI knows. They know there was interference, right? They know that this guy Guccifer 2.0 is a Russian agent, right? And that it was basically, they used WikiLeaks as a back channel to, pass information, right? They have the meeting between, Trump Jr. and this one lady in the tower, right? They have emails between, WikiLeaks and Roger Stone, right? And they have, I mean, the Trump people even tried to create a back channel to the Kremlin. I mean, look all this stuff up, okay? All the people saying that this is like a nothing burger and there's nothing there. No, there's shit is there. There's definitely substance to it. I mean, fuck. Paul Manafort is already in fucking jail because of this investigation. What we do not have, right, is proof that people from the Trump camp were working directly with these Russian agents, right? There is no proof of that. There is no proof that this information which was stolen was directly sent to the Trump camp, right? And if that comes out, some people are going to fucking prison, right? There will be some serious prison time involved. That's, that's collusion. That's, fucking traitor right there. Right. And if it comes out that Trump knew about that, that is beyond an impeach worthy offense. Right. If there's some actual proof comes out, some emails or something that shows Donald Trump was aware that information that was stolen from the DNC was then, say, used in his campaign strategy, right? And he was aware where that came from, Donald Trump is going to prison. Right? He will get he will get impeached, he will go to prison, and if he doesn't, if that didn't happen, the country should revolt, because that's like, if there's evidence of that. All right. Is that what he's afraid of? Okay. I mean, at the end of the at the end of the campaign, he went and campaigned in certain places that the polls showed him underwater at. He campaigned in Michigan. He campaigned in up in the upper Northeast, in places that he ultimately ended up winning. Right? How did he know to campaign there? Did that information come from the DNC leak? Right? Because in addition to all the emails and stuff that they also got a lot of the voter information from the DNC. Right? Was that information used by the Trump camp to sharpen their strategy and ultimately end up to him winning? That's the conspiracy. If evidence of that comes out, Donald Trump should be thrown in prison. And so there is no evidence of that. I just want to make everybody clear about that. Right now that is a conspiracy theory. Right? There is no evidence of that. But Donald Trump is not acting like an innocent person. He's acting like somebody, every time he gets on Twitter and he calls the fucking, the Russian thing a witch hunt, right? Every move the Republicans make to try to justify the firing of Robert Mueller, right? Or the impeachment of Rod Rosenstein, right? All that other thing, every time all of that stuff, every time they make a move to try to shut this down at the direction of the president, that's evidence that maybe they're trying to cover something up because Trump knows something that he doesn't want the rest of us to know. So keep all that shit in mind, I mean, me personally, to end this up, I don't think Trump will be impeached. I don't think it's going to happen, right? Or rather, let me put that a different way. I think it'll be a miracle if he is impeached, right? If this investigation is wrapped up in time for the midterms, right, and all that stuff, and then we get a Democratic, majority in the House and the Senate, which I don't think that's going to happen either. I mean, I think maybe the House, probably not the Senate. But, that's what it would take. In order to impeach Trump, we would need a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate, right? And then this evidence, this investigation would have to be finished, and then there would have to be evidence that, the Trump camp used information stolen by Russian agents in order to win the election. All of those things would have to happen in order for Trump to be impeached. I don't think that's going to happen. Right. Rather, I think this evidence is going to come out and a lot of people are going to go to prison, right? And it's going to be up to us to not elect Donald Trump again in, the next election, the next presidential election. Hopefully, it'll be bad enough that he just resigns in disgrace. But do you really think he's going to do that? I don't think so. I think we're at a point here where we have a narcissistic child as the president who's going to go down kicking and screaming, and if he has to, will bring all of us down with him. Right? And I only hope that, our elected politicians who are bought and sold and traded like baseball cards, have enough balls to do something about it. Anyway, adios, folks.